Greetings, YouTubians, and welcome back to Wayne's Sharp World, where today I am bringing to you one of the best Kershaw knives I have ever handled. This knife is easily in my top 3 favorite Kershaws, and I think it is without a doubt the best knife from the Kershaw Launch series, which, as you know, is American-made automatics, and it's this guy right here. This is the Kershaw Launch 19. And what we're looking at here is an absolute banger of a knife. Now, before we go any further into this review, let's take a look at some overall specs on this phenomenal American-made automatic EDC right here. We have an overall length coming in at 7.75 inches, a blade length of 3.375 inches, and a blade thickness at 120 thousandths. Blade material is your typical CPM 154, which you see on just about every Kershaw Launch model, which I'm totally good with, especially when we get to the price. We have a beautiful clip point style blade with a flat grind, a handle length coming in at 4.375 inches, and a handle thickness of 500 thousandths. We have aluminum and brown G10 for the handle material, which I gotta say, I am loving this combination. Just gives it a really good, just a really good look to it. There's not enough brown G10 out there. Although I said it before, some knives I wouldn't want to see in brown G10 because I feel like it look like a literal turd. They may not be a turd, but they may look like a turd. So I like the shape of this piece of brown G10. It is not turd-like in any way whatsoever. So that's a win. We have of course, a button lock for the locking mechanism. As you all know, it is an automatic. And if you did not hear, that kicked like a pretty good sized horse. We have a user of a left or right hand tip up carry, a weight coming in at 3.06 ounces. As I said before, made in the good old USA, and a price at a very nice, phenomenal price for this knife. $139.99, $140 for this knife. That's a yes every day of the week, and twice on Sunday for me. Love this. What we have in terms of sizes, it's also a very nice size for me. I just, everything about this, it checks all the boxes for me. So I am very excited about this one. It's been a long time since I've been this excited about a Kershaw. Let's take a look at it compared with some other knives. This is another one of my favorites from this year, the Giant Mouse Ace Biblio XL, which, as you can see, is a perfect comparison. I mean, this is an absolute perfect comparison right here. And then, I'll throw this in there. The Vosti Thornton, definitely some differences there. You don't have a choil, but it is also very similar in length. So yeah, as you can see, I designed the Thornton. So this is the size of knife that is just a home run for me. I like bigger knives too, but there's just something about this size right here that is it's a winner. It is a winner for me. And one knife, so this knife does remind me a lot of the Ace Biblio XL, but another one that it really reminds me of is one of my all-time favorite knives, the Spyderco Shaman. Now, I believe, yeah, we got a little more length here, but there are a lot of attributes of this Launch 19 that carry over to the Shaman and vice versa that I can't help but remind myself of it. The belly, the blade, the ergos. Really nice comparison there, just a slightly shorter version of something like a Shaman. And let's get into talking about this blade, because I think this is the best looking blade I've ever seen on a Kershaw. I really mean it. It has a great cutting length. It has a beautiful swedge. I love the satin with the black flats. That's awesome. This choil here, oh my gosh, this choil it makes me so happy. It's just so, when I hold this knife, it is one of the most comfortable grips. I mean, it's up there with the Shaman and the Biblio XL for some of the best ergos I've ever handled on a knife. Very, very nice from an ergonomic standpoint, and pretty darn nice from a blade standpoint. We're looking at 24 thousandths behind the edge. Of course, that's not as thin as some other knives, but let me remind you here that this Shaman is like 25 or 26 thousandths behind the edge. So it doesn't always come down to thinness behind the edge that can make a knife slicey and just a great blade. And from what I've experienced so far in this knife, and yes, I have used it, but I clean my knives when I bring them to you guys. I don't want to bring some gummed up, nasty mess. So yeah, it's been used, but it's been clean. So if you still want to bash me in the comments, go for it, but I use my stuff. Really enjoying this blade and the handle. As much as I love this handle, I have a couple little critiques here. This is where there's two things that I think I would change. But first, let's talk about what is good outside of the ergos, because the ergos are really, the aesthetics are fantastic. And the ergos are literally like the chef's kiss, the cherry on top that make this, for me, an absolute home run. Obviously, I love just the overall design and shape. It's really good for a lot of hands. If you don't want to choke up, it's still a full four-finger grip, and it feels really comfy. And then once you choke up, it's like, yeah, it's like your hand is married to this knife. It's just fantastic. Love this little G10 portion down here connected with the aluminum. The one thing that I think is a little noticeable is there is a little bit more of a gap between the transition line from the aluminum to the G10. But I will say they were very smart about how they did this, because they could have just tried to make it a flat line and connect it, and then that gap would have been so noticeable, it would have looked terrible. So what they did was they kind of put a groove in here. They put the screws up there, and yes, so while there is a small gap, I think that may be, yeah, that's what best describes there. You see that little gap there. Obviously not ideal, and the bigger of a knife nut you are, the more you look at things like this. But I will say, I think the way they designed this whole handle and the way they put the groove in there and assembled the knife, I think they did a really good job, and it doesn't bother me that much at all. But I did notice it, and again, what I do here is critique knives and point out the details, so that's what I'm doing. The only other thing that I think was a miss was back here. I would have liked to see some recessed screws. It still goes in and out of the pocket just fine. I just would have really liked to see recessed screws there. I don't really need to see a recessed clip, because I would rather not have the milled portion on the G10 side. So I'm fine with not having a recessed clip, but I would have really liked some recessed screws. That would have been very very welcome. But outside of that, I don't have any gripes. Do I wish those changes would have happened? Yes. Would I not buy this knife because of that? Hell no. I'm buying this knife every day. And I bought this knife with my own money. It wasn't able for me to get through some of the retailers that send me knives to review. I wasn't going to wait, so I just bought it. I think that right there says a lot for just how much I love this knife. And I was really worried I'd be disappointed, because I've had some times when I've been disappointed by Kershaw. Not this one. If this is a sign of what's to come from Kershaw, boy oh boy, we're going to be in for a treat. The action. This is one of the hardest kicking launch knives I've ever handled, especially of the bigger size. This is right up there with the Kershaw Launch 1, as well as one of the more recent Kershaws, the one that has the M4 blade, kind of the Tonto M4 blade. I think that's like the Launch 17 or 18, I think. I think it's one of the more recent ones, but I tell you what, ooh, that is some very good, dare I say it, pro-techy type snap. This would compare with some Pro-Techs, and I'd put it right up with some of them. Kind of reminds me of the Pro-Tech TR3 a little. I think the TR3 may fire just a hair harder, but I'm very satisfied with this. I'm not disappointed. Could not be more satisfied with the action of the knife. Love the button placement. I've always liked the milling they did on the button. That's always been a nice touch. Very easy to locate and also press down on with no slippage, get a good grip. Yeah, excellent piece from Kershaw. I'm so happy to see good things coming from Kershaw. They have a huge budget line that are decent knives. I mean, they're not bad, but their American-made stuff is just different. The quality is fantastic. I'm not saying they're the best U.S. manufacturer in the country, but I do think they are very solid, especially with their automatics. They really don't, they have very few American-made non-automatic knives. I would love, and I mean love, to see a flipper version or some type of manual version with this knife. Maybe a flipper and thumb studs or something, but that would be awesome. Nonetheless, though, this Launch 19, as it is an absolute home run of a knife, and by far and away, in my opinion, the best light knife from the Launch series to date. Absolutely love it. You should check it out because it's really damn good. The Kershaw Launch 19, guys, let me know what you think of this one if you've handled it. That's it. I hope you enjoyed this one. Hope you have a great rest of your day, and until the next one, I'm out.